Hey guys, Bix Weir, RoadToRoad.com. As I talked about for so long this month, the COMEX is falling apart. The criminal, aka the CRIMEX, the criminal operation for rigging gold and silver prices is literally falling apart before our very eyes. Remember, they're going to do anything they can to continue this rig. Anything they can, which means change the rules, change the pricing, change everything. It is 100% essential to rig the gold and silver markets to run an unbacked fiat money system. So hang on tight. From Bloomberg, the wild hunt for 100-ounce gold bars. Now, when I read this to you, you're going to get sick to your stomach. Remember, it's supposed to be a free market where the price of gold is determined by buyers and sellers, willing buyer, willing seller, not derivative markets, right? Coronavirus disrupts supply chain for physical metal. Really? You're really going to blame the coronavirus for you guys trading billions of ounces of gold, billions of ounces of silver, all electronic, all bullshit. Crunch rocked futures traders who suddenly needed gold in hand. You mean they were selling something they did not have and did not own? Wow, that's amazing. There are a few corners of the global financial market that have been upended as spectacularly or as oddly as the coronavirus pandemic as gold trading. Why oddly? You've got 6 JP Morgan traders in precious metals up on RICO charges. Why is this so odd for Bloomberg? Not only are prices swinging in an erratic fashion, surging one moment and crashing the next, that is undermining the metal's vaulted status as a haven in times of crisis. That's exactly why it's rigged, you moron. That is why the rigging is allowed by the government, by the regulators, by the market participants. It is undermining the metal's vaulted status as a haven in the time of crisis. If the haven in the time of crisis isn't going up, there must be nothing going on with the financial system. But unprecedented logistical disruptions have also kicked off a frantic hunt for actual gold bars. Oh my goodness. Actual gold bars are going to have to be delivered in a market that trades billions and trillions of dollars worth of gold every year. Actual gold bars. This is hysterical. At the center of it are a small band of traders who for years had cashed in on what had always been a surefire bet. Shorting gold in the futures market. Is Bloomberg really saying this out loud? Of course, they have no idea of the ramifications of what they're saying. Usually, they'd ride the tide out till the end of the contract when they'd have a couple of options to get out without marking much, if any, loss. Yes, Ted Butler has outlined that these big players, the bullion banks, have never had a loss on a short position. Never. Well, some of them have. Like, who was it? Who was the big one? Bear Stearns. They had monster losses in gold and silver. That's why they went down. Who's got the short now? Not JP Morgan, believe it or not. They got rid of their short position. Now they're long with, at least in silver. I don't know about gold. I think they're long in gold too, with physical that they stole. Why do you think they're up on 6 RICO charges and the company's up on RICO charges? But here goes Bloomberg. But the virus and the global economic collapse that's sparking have created such an extreme price distortions that those easy exit options disappeared on them, which means that they suddenly face the threat of having to deliver actual gold bars to the buyers of the contract upon maturity. It's at that point that things get really bad for the short sellers. To make good on maturing contracts, they'd have to move actual gold from various locations. But with the virus shutting down air travel across the globe, procuring a flight to transport the metal became nearly impossible. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You can't charter an airplane? You can't charter a pilot for any amount of money? That's the stupidest reasoning ever. If someone managed to get a flight, there was another major problem. Futures contracts in New York are based on 100-ounce gold bars. The gold that's rushed in from abroad is almost always a different size. So they're selling things they couldn't even get to keep the price down. It is insane. This whole article is basically saying they were selling shit they didn't have to keep the price down, to keep stress out of the market. Signs of distress picked up on Friday, March 20th, when the cost to swap New York futures and spot physical gold in London, the world's biggest market. Bullshit. Well, it is the biggest market. It's the only market. But it's a fraud. It's not an exchange. It's an association because they lie, cheat, and steal. It used to be called the gold fix and the silver fix because they fixed the price twice a day. Typically, this trade costs almost nothing. After the close of the next session on Monday, that premium had jumped further to $6.75. When traders in Asia entered Tuesday morning, there weren't many sellers or offers, and suddenly they were scrambling to buy whatever gold they could get their hands on. This is not going to stop. This is part of the road to rooted timeline. Absolutely 100%. This is going to end in force majeure. The shutting of the exchanges, and they're going to claim force majeure because of coronavirus. It's going to happen on every exchange. And then the question is, how are they going to restart it with so much criminality? Nobody knows what anybody has in these markets, especially the stock market. The brokers and dealers sell your same share over and over and over again. Nobody knows what anybody has. There's over 200 million failure to delivers every single day, meaning no contracts exchanged, no change of ownership, no money's exchanged. It's musical chairs, and the music's stopping playing pretty soon here, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of people without chairs. Get your assets in your own possession. Moving on, revolver run. Banks suffer record $200 billion in outflow as frenzied companies draw down revolvers. If you haven't pulled your money out of the bank yet, some hedge fund's going to beat you to it. Get your money out of the bank. But that's the thing. These moronic hedge funds are drawing down their lines of credit, but at the same time, they're leaving the money in the bank. Oh, it's in my checking account side of the balance sheet. You guys are idiots because you're not going to get it because the bank's going to go down. Classic. And here? This is classic Wall Street. When they get in trouble for selling things they don't have, let's change the rules. And by the way, while we're changing the rules and while we're rigging markets, we can't have any regulators hearing what we're saying. So Wall Street says some brokers' duties just can't be done from home. Fingerprinting and reconciling stockholders' records are cumbersome tasks during coronavirus lockdowns. The new coronavirus hasn't shut down financial markets thanks to electronic trading, but some tasks on Wall Street, it turns out, aren't made for social distancing. Brokers are seeking permission from regulators to suspend some tasks that were developed during the era of paper stock certificates. Wall Street's main trade group, the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, says these mundane back office chores such as sending signed forms to regulators in Washington can't be done when states including New York are on lockdown, or even workers deemed essential have been urged to stay away from the office. Oh, sorry, we can't just fill out this paperwork that says we're doing this all legally. You know what they're also saying? We can't record the phone calls because we're doing it from home. Who can't record a phone call at home? They are getting away with murder, and the regulators just say, oh, yeah, we need to change the rules because we have a force majeure. Everything's got to stop because we have a force majeure. We got a problem here, and there's no way to get around it. So we're going to let the rules lax a little bit so these motherfuckers can steal everything we got. Amazing. Get your assets in your own possession yesterday. Quick update on coronavirus. We're up to a shocking 116,000. Is it really that shocking? Where was Road to Ruta? As of yesterday, 104. March 30th is going to be 208,000. Now, will Trump start rigging the total confirmed cases? He was absolutely kind of showing that to the market this week in what he was talking about and what he was having his people talk about. We're going to say it's flattening the curve. We're going to find out in 2 days. 2 days. It's either up to 208,000 or they'll hold it down at 180 is my guess. And then after that, 416,000 on April 2nd, and they'll hold it down to 200. April 5th, 832,000 confirmed cases, and they'll hold it down to 220. That's the power of exponential. I don't even think that the Trump administration would do this. It's too important. But we do have to have a full count of who's got it. Now, these numbers here, I ran it out just based on The last confirmed, which is 104,000. This is yesterday. By the end of the day, 104,000 and 101,700 deaths. And if you just run the numbers, it gets you to huge numbers. The percentage of deaths will go up if we run out of hospital beds. And these numbers will never get to 212,000 also. Why? Because most people aren't going to get tests. Do I think 99% of the population will get coronavirus in the next 5 years? Absolutely. 100% chance of that. Over 90%, let's say that. 100% chance. Over 90% will have it. Most people won't even recognize it as anything more than a common cold. That's just the way it is. Is it being blown out of proportion? On one level, yeah. One, it doesn't have to be like this. They can tell everybody, hey, take your vitamin C, take your chaga mushroom, and then social distance, but keep working. Go back to work. But if they do, then the system will hobble along for another 10 years. But the banks are already dead because the supply chains have all stopped. This is just waiting for the moment when everything stops. There is talk of Trump shutting down everything next week. Is it just talk? Of course it is. Is it on the table? Absolutely. Shutting down all markets. And what would happen? We shut down all markets for coronavirus. Oh, by the way, JP Morgan, all these criminal banks, you're not going to do what you've done to us in the past. We're changing the markets. We're going to make them real markets from now on. So JP Morgan, the criminal banks are gone. How will we make them real markets? Well, there's this thing called Veritasium that you can implant into an exchange to assure peer-to-peer transactions with a track record of every transaction done. Voila. There you got a cliff high hit right there. Is that going to happen? Hell no. And if it does, it's a mother plucking lottery ticket. I'm telling you right now. And it'll hit cliff highs data of 1-to-1 Veritasium with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin won't be at 6,000 or wherever it is right now. By end of this year, probably, we'll have our $100,000 Bitcoin parties. We might have $100,000 Veritasium parties too. Is it all going to happen overnight? Hell no. Not a chance. But it's looking more and more likely that the markets are going to have to shut down. And that's going to freak everybody out. This is year zero. Everything changes from here on out. Nothing will ever go back to the same. Nothing. Speaking of that, I just posted my latest year zero update. This is the 7th one, I think. Yep, 7th one. And this one's all about Q and Ruda. Yes, I knew about Q in 2007. Before any of you schmoes knew about Q. Absolutely, Q works for the good guys that I've been talking about for a very long time. The latest news about the Treasury taking over the Fed. Old news, my friends. Old news. Anyway, you want to check this one out, go to the private road. Subscribe today, Road to Ruda. Subscribe today. You're going to get one Veri token on a paper wallet and the coolest silver coin ever. Ruda jumping up and down on the Road to Ruda with the gold mine in the Grand Canyon wall. There's gold all over the Grand Canyon. Just another reason to buy silver, by the way. No, I don't think they'll ever take the gold out of the Grand Canyon. It's too beautiful. You don't need it. You got Bitcoin and cryptos for money in the future. Litecoin as a means of exchange. Litecoin is going 4-to-1 to Bitcoin. At $100,000 Bitcoin, $25,000 Litecoin. You got your Litecoin? Who knows whether they could put the price to zero with a clicking of a mouse. But when the crypto exchanges crash, they'll definitely implement something like decentralized exchanges or Veritasium to make sure that transactions are happening properly. We will see. The future is ours. We're going to take it. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.